Man, Draymond has these phases in life, right? So we got Warriors, we got the Magic. It's a big win for Golden State. 120-97. Steph with 26, Jimmy Butler with 21, Paolo Banchero finishes with 21, 12, and 7. But that's all fine and good. It's the Draymond situation. There's a moment on the sidelines between he and Steve Kerr, who, by the way, is a coach who's had his back time and time again. But it's a very heated exchange, if you will, which leads to Draymond heading over to the locker room, takes a little cool off period, does come back to the bench, but he does not re-enter the game after that 8.5 mark in the third quarter. Lou, look, it's these two guys, so I almost don't feel shocked, weirdly, but what did you make of this exchange last night?
Yeah, I listen. I don't love it, but you always have to reference people's relationships and what you've seen them go through and what you've seen them accomplish, and that's no different with Steve Kerr and Draymond. We've seen these guys win championships together. We've also seen him argue time and time again before. We know what Draymond is, and we know how fiery of a competitor that he is. We know that Steve Kerr would get with you in your competitive nature as well. These guys are championship related to each other in the things that they've been able to accomplish over the years. If this was a new coach and a new player, I would have some concerns. I would have something to say. But you're talking about a guy that's been with this coach, the majority of his career outside of Mark Jackson. This has been his head coach, and you've seen some dust ups from the practice court to the games to everywhere when it comes to Draymond Green. We know what his personality brings to the table. So I don't read much into this, even though he didn't go back into this basketball game. I don't read too far into it. This might be a one-time, one-night thing, and I'm sure these guys will have a conversation this morning, or they even had that conversation last night. They probably had a meeting or a conversation collectively as a team and probably gotten over this. But sometimes when you're messing up assignments, and I'm not saying that's what Draymond's issue was, or if you're not on the same page with a coach, you can kind of see these things. And if you see that camera angle, you see that this came from a fan or somebody that was recording the bench during that basketball game. So this was something that wasn't supposed to necessarily get the attention that it got, but it did. But I don't read too much into this, no more than this just being a dust up with a player and a coach, and we move on.
Yeah, I think if this was anybody else other than Draymond Green, this is probably national news, right? And it's still picking up and it's still getting a lot of attention, but this is just something that has happened often. This is two guys that respect each other, that have won at the highest level with each other. And it's two passionate guys that, again, like Luda said, this isn't, I don't think this is an issue. This is just in the heat of the moment, which happens all the time. And this never would have even surfaced if the fan wasn't videoing. But I don't think there's anything here, obviously, with the history of Draymond Green, and we don't want anything to be, that detrimental to the team. But I think it was a sign of maturity that he actually just stormed off and left, and then he came back, and Kerr was like, cool, you're back. You're still not going back in the game. And I guarantee you they've already hashed it out and had a conversation and will move forward. And a season like this, when they're just got back to 500, there's probably some frustration. There's probably some, some tough times, but this really, to me, isn't anything. This is just a guy that's deserved the right to kind of speak his mind, and this is a coach that's also always had his back and respected and appreciate this type of passion and fire. So you can't kind of mix up on it now and have an issue with it.
I mean, look, Draymond did say, I didn't think it was going to get better. I'm a big proponent of just leave the situation and let things cool off. So I kind of understand why he's doing that. That being said, let's talk a little X's and O's about it all, because he is leading the league, or going into last night's game anyways, he was leading the league in turnover percentage. Draymond was. And then they go on that monster run when he's out of the game, a 41-18 run, as a matter of fact. And if we want to just take it from a basketball perspective, Chandler, can you even fathom? And when I say all this, I also say it because I don't know that there's another coach in the league that would have Draymond Green's back the way Steve Kerr has. Like, these two are just sort of together, right? Yeah, but is there a world in which you could picture him not being a Warrior?
No, I don't think so. I really don't. And they've been to the trenches together again. So he's got that longer leash. He's got that more respect. He's got that clout within that organization and within that locker room, where Draymond Green can be Draymond Green, and he can be authentically 100% himself. And as far as the basketball stuff goes, a lot of the stuff he does, I hate it when people would say this about certain players. It doesn't show up in the box score, right? And that's so true when it comes to a Draymond Green, whether it's his communication or how vocal he is on defense, which by the way is the third defensive rating in the NBA, or whether it's him just active and getting his deflections and steals, which by the way, their team is fourth in steals. And then the way he kind of plays within that offense and dribble handoffs and finds the backdoor cutters, and they're eighth in assists. So I feel like all three things that Draymond Green does really, really well and does elite has kept this team, this 500 team, in the top 5 and in top 10 statistically, and it's pretty much all his strength. So he's not going to average 25 points a game. He's not a guy that you're going to actually, look to score, although he's capable, but he does all these little things. He pushes guys, he challenges guys, he's a leader, and he does all the other stuff that Steve Kerr, like I said, has backed his entire career. So it's weird to shine a light on it now that it would be a negative thing or that he wouldn't have his back. I just think this was an emotional game, an emotional play. Two fiery guys kind of went at it, and I guarantee you they shook hands, laughed about it, and they'll move on next game.
I mean, you say it's emotional, but a game ago with Colin Gillespie, he had that moment. He's just, I don't know. There's a lot that comes with him, which makes me sometimes think, and I know people in the chat right now are like, oh, we'd love to see him get traded. All right. I know. But is there a market? Like, if you're another team, would you love to bring Draymond Green on board? Like, what do you think that market even looks like?
Listen, I'm sure there are some coaches out there that loves some fiery, competitive nature that would love a guy like this to add to their locker room. But I think Draymond Green deserves to retire a Golden State Warrior. And trust me, I know in this business, everybody doesn't get what they deserve. Sometimes things happen and you get the short end of the stick. You can see the decorated career that Chris Paul has had. It's not going to go down the way that he probably would have deserved for it to happen. It just doesn't happen that way. But you look at Klay Thompson. Klay is in Dallas now. You still have Dre and you still have Steph in Golden State uniforms. I would love to see those guys finish their careers there. And I think they deserve that much respect, and they deserve to go out on a team that they've accomplished so much on. But when you have some of these situations and you look around the league, I'm sure there's some coaches that got some young locker rooms. They might even consider their locker room soft or might not be as tough as they would like their team to be. And they would die to get a guy like Draymond Green there, and they would take everything that comes with that. So again, we know what his personality is, but we also knows the intangibles and the small things that he brings to the table that get you over the hump, that can get you over the edge of being a team that needs toughness and that needs somebody that knows how to run an offense and that knows how to anchor you on the defensive end as well. So sometimes when a guy has so much value on the basketball court, some of the antics or some of the things that may come out in the public that may not have the greatest of optics, you'll take that chance on a guy like Draymond Green.
But and also on the flip side, the grass isn't always greener either. Like Draymond Green is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer playing in that system, playing with Steph Curry, winning those championships, and it was a perfect fit. There are so many guys like I always bring up Marshawn Brooks. This guy was one of the coldest, best scorers, best practice players, best one-on-one players I had ever seen during my career. And he didn't stick. He didn't last. He never found that system. He never found that coach that believed him. He never found that kind of that team situation where they won and he was a pivotal part. And he stuck, and he never stuck, and he ended up overseas in Europe and China. And Draymond Green is a great player. Draymond Green is a versatile player. He's one of the best defenders of all time, and that a lot of that has to do with the fit of the Golden State Warriors and what he brought to that team and what they brought to him. So when you start talking about him trading and going somewhere, or getting traded and going somewhere else, I don't ever see that happening. I mean, look how it panned out even with Klay, who is the second best shooter of all time. And he's still at this point, at this age of his career, he's struggling a bit in Dallas. He's not on a winning team, and you're not, talking about him more now in a negative light. And I don't want to see that happen to Draymond Green.
we also know Clay's going to end up back in Golden State. Like that's inevitable.
I
It's
feel
in
like
the
that
stars.
would make
Yeah,
sense.
it's totally happening. So the win last night for the Warriors put them back at 500, 5-5 in their last 10, and they're in the 8th seed at the moment. Chandler and I know Steve Kerr brought up the fact that that's all fine and good, but the goal coming in was top 4, and that remains the goal. So I know it's only December. Are we looking at a possibility here? Are they going to be able to pull that off?
I don't see it. I don't think so. I think the West is too good. I think those teams are at the top. When you look at OKC, San Antonio, Denver, Houston, Minnesota, LA, those are all teams that I think are better basketball teams right now than the Warriors. Now, listen, they got real hot last year. They can turn it on anytime Steph Curry is on that court. They can win basketball games and they can get going. And when they're fully healthy, this team is so good defensively. And obviously, with that offensive system, they can explode on any given night. So I'm not counting them out. I'm counting them out as a top 4 seed, but as a 7, 6, 7, 8 seed, given one of those, 1 or 2 or 3 seeds a run for their money in the first round of the playoffs, I can definitely see that. This is the type of team where you don't want to face. You don't want. Imagine having to beat Steph Curry 4 times in the playoffs. It's uneasy, it's unsettling, and it's not the matchup you want. And they can be a team that come playoff time surprises one of these and gets a big upset.
Unless you're OKC or you're Denver or San Antonio, one of those teams, you don't really fear Golden State like you once did. I don't think they get into like you once did. I don't think you really fear them, Beetle. So
no, I'm shocked you said San Antonio doesn't fear them. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Well, I'm throwing them in there because those are the teams that I think are trending up. Those are the teams that I think get better as the season go on, opposed to getting worse. You look at from 5 to probably from 5 to 8. Like Minnesota is going to be in that conversation. Houston is going to be in that conversation. Phoenix is right there with them as well. I think they're in the pack with those group of teams. Everybody else, I feel like are elite. From 1, 2, and 3. I think those are the teams that get better throughout the season, opposed to going the opposite way. And they look at a Golden State in the first round and they probably feel really comfortable about what they can do. Now, I'm not trying to shortchange what Draymond brings to the table and what Steph and Jimmy can bring to the table, but the writing is on the wall. They're a 500 basketball team as it stands. And until they really turn that corner and show us different at this age, at this stage in their career, that's probably going to be the team that they are, but if there's a team that's going to make a run for it like they did last year, they have all of the pieces and the capabilities, but I just don't see it at this point.
It would
put
be
them in
unsettling.
Eastern Conference. Put them in the Eastern Conference, maybe.
Get rid of conferences. No, it ain't happening. Steph was on a bit of a bad ankle last night. Didn't stop him from going 6-6 from the field in the third. And I know he's in his 17th season, but obviously LeBron set the standard now for what the NBA superstar is capable of doing as far as longevity goes. Whether he wants to or whether he can, Lou, I know are 2 different questions. But could Steph Curry play as long, if not longer, than LeBron James, given the fact that he shoots the way he does?
I believe so. I would love to see Steph Curry as a 40-year-old third or fourth option on a team, just being a standstill shooter, being a catch and shoot guy for a team and making them dangerous from the 3-point line. Only one thing that I will say is this usually doesn't pan out for smaller guards in the league. This usually works for taller guys that can put pressure on smaller defenders at the 3-point line, or if you got Steph Curry at 40 years old being a standstill shooter, you can kind of face guard him a little bit, and that may not be as effective. So this hasn't worked for smaller guards, but if there's anybody that can break that mold, that can put small guards in this conversation and plan into their 40s and as long as they want to in 20 seasons or whatnot, it's going to be Steph Curry. I think he's one of those guys. I think you see him evolve dramatically if he wanted to continue to play that deep into his career and that deep into his age. We would see a lot of evolving in his game. But if there's one guy that can do it, I think that's Steph Curry for sure.
If a team just went and signed Phillip Rivers at 44 years old to play quarterback in the NFL, this man can play till he's 50. And I don't care how small he is, the way he shoots the ball. Obviously, this is health driven. Those ankles got to stay healthy, and he's missed 9 games this year. He's played 21 out of 30. But we're talking about a shooter's league, and we're talking about the best shooter of all time. He'll always be able to shoot over 40%. He'll always be able to knock down wide open threes. He's never, think about it, his whole career, he's never got wide open threes. Imagine when he's 44 years old, not the focal point of a scouting report, and can just sit there and bang threes off, traps and double teams.
44 is a stretch, though.
I mean,
at 44 already.
Put him at 44 years old on the floor with a good team, and they're not, again, he's not the focal point of the scouting report.
Why did you make him 44 though? Like, that's what I'm stuck on.
Because of Phillip Rivers. Like, I feel like Phillip Rivers changed everything.
Kudos to Phillip Rivers, but he ain't absolutely killing it. Now, he is being competitive, and he's had some opportunities, but he's not absolutely killing it.
Okay, let me ask you this. Lou, I know we're a basketball show, but I'm sorry. The world should be talking about Phillip Rivers because this is an insane Disney movie. Are you shocked? Like, when he looks up at the suite, and he's got a whole suite that are like full of his kids, and like it's insanity.
It looks like a football team, but it's his kids. No,
they're all his.
Super proud. I'm just hung up on the fact that Chandler keeps making Steph Curry 44. That's
44. That's it.
Not to get completely sidetracked here too, but was there not one other better or younger quarterback option than Phillip Rivers?
I mean, I have like four I can name right now, but
we'll be a different show.
I just don't get that. But my point is,
you get it.
Steph Curry can shoot the basketball, and he's not getting guarded like he's not today or the last 16 seasons as the number 1 or number 2 option on a team. He will make those shots. He'll get way more uncontested shots, and he's going to shoot 50% from 3. I think